the hell happened? They're coming this way. Get away.
Get away? Where the hell should we go?
This way. It's closer to the route down. That was odd. They knew that we were coming. They must have intercepted our radio transmission. Steve, you double-crossed us.
Give me a break. I scrambled the transmission. They couldn't have intercepted it.
Then how come they were waiting for us?
How the fuck should I know?
You had the transmitter. You double-crossed us.
Double-cross my ass.
Chill out, guys. We've got no time to fight among ourselves.
The government troops are still on our trail. They're going to catch up with us unless we hurry up.
What shall we do?
We gotta slow them down for a while. You guys go ahead. I'll catch up soon. Let's hurry to the route down.
And so, having lost our first real opportunity to get off Aconcagua, our party is now plunged even deeper into the depths of paranoia, as it seems more and more that there is indeed a traitor amongst us. Now, obviously, Steve, who was responsible for sending out the message, seems a prime candidate, but he is pretty adamant about not being the spy. And Kato, as per usual, is just trying to keep people on track, and Steve, well, he still remains a bitch about everything. On the other hand, the rest of the people in our party are, well, they're pretty on board with the whole getting away from the government angle that we're trying to move forward with. I mean, it is very important that we figure out if there is a traitor amongst us, because that just means that everything we do is going to be sabotaged with them around, but I mean, it could just be that, I don't know, the government is super observant and assumed that maybe we would have headed the communication station and maybe they were already monitoring it. It's a bit hard to say. Still, all in all, it's good that it seems like only Steve is the one that's actively worried about his own skin at the moment, and everybody else is trying to work on the side of cooperation. Now, it is good that the fire allows us a little bit of breathing room, but we still need to find a way down the mountain. And pretty much immediately, we do find a possible avenue of escape. Just as with most things that require reading, Pachamama is the one that we are going to have to turn to for that. And upon closer inspection, the sign here says that one way leads to a mine, and the left-hand side leads to a possible way down the mountain. It definitely seems like while the mine could be interesting, instead we probably should just take the left-hand path and get away from the government as quickly as we can. So let's just keep on pressing forward and see if we can't make our way further down the mountain. Obviously, though, it's not going to be that easy. Seems there was something of a rock slide, and this path is not accessible in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, that was pretty much why they made sure to mention the mine. That's actually where this episode is going to be taking place. we follow the tracks up and see that we have a few ways that we can go. But I suppose for right now, we might as well just follow this first track and see where it leads us. And it seems to lead us right into a big whopping dead end. Seems as though there is, like, the base mine is actually on the other side of this fence here. Be good if we could figure out some way to get through this. Also, we find a switch here that would control the direction of the tracks. But it is frozen solid, so there's not really anything we can do with it. So, instead of following the track further up, I'm actually going to go back to the start of the tracks and see where the other path leads us. Kind of want to cover pretty much everything in a nice orderly fashion just to get a real feel of the area. Because yeah, as the communication station was a step up in puzzle solving, so too is the mine area. It's going to be a little bit more complicated. Puzzles are going to be a little bit more in-depth. So it is good to make sure you take in everything around you. I mean, in a small area, we already see a ladder down here. But there doesn't really seem like we're going to be able to climb down it. Assume though we do want to get down there. And there was this rusty, burnt out wreckage of a truck over here. And the one noticeable feature of it is actually on the front. It's a winch with a coiled up cable, but seems in its disrepair and disuse, it's pretty much, not really going to spool out for us. So, yeah, just I guess another thing to really keep in mind. Also, along the side of the truck is a very easily missed point of interest. We find the gas tank for the truck, as well as just seems to be a tiny bit of gasoline inside, but as we have no vomit bag or any other thing to carry it in, yet again, just another thing to keep track of in the back of our minds. So yeah, let's just keep on pressing forward. I think we're going to head further up the tracks. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Having fun with the camera angle, as per usual. We find a precarious piece of piping here. And yeah, while the pole is bent, it's not something we can break off or really interact with, so we'll just leave that be. And I'm not sure of the metal cylinder next to it, but there's nothing we can really do with it. And yeah, just a base of a switch. Another thing we can't really do anything with, kind of disparaging at this point. Kind of really would appreciate finding anything to help us with our current situation. But hey, you never know, there might be something actually useful to us inside this cabin here. Hell, we might even find like a mine worker or something. Instead, considering the overall state of everything around us, I don't think this place has been in very much use for quite a bit of time. And hey, we do find another med kit, but we don't need it. Instead, the one thing we actually do want in here is over here on the bookshelf. While it does look like just like a bottle of glue, instead, it's a container of oil. And yeah, this is pretty much how we're going to get that winch moving. Still, before we leave, the one last point of interest in here is another document on the desk. And as you might already be able to guess, as with most documents in the game, it's another one that only Pachamama is going to be able to habla. Let's go ahead and get her in here and see if it doesn't contain anything useful for us. So this document is a diary of the miners that worked here. And as I kind of mentioned already, this place has not been in any kind of usage for a number of years. But what is actually of some importance to us is the fact that there is a tunnel that leads further into the mountain, and that might be our way to head down towards that mountain path that leads us down the mountain. But the problem is that it looks like some portion of the mine has collapsed, and while no one died at the time, yeah, it might lead us to be a little obstructed as we try to make our way further along inside the mine. Still, we'll worry about that hurdle once we get to it. For right now, we're still just trying to cover and see what is available to us in this general area for right now. That means heading up this last little bit of track here. Or at least trying my best to find that sweet spot that allows the camera angle to turn so we can continue upwards. Yeah, there we go. And further along the track here, right across this little metal bridge, is pretty much the end of the trail for us. There's nothing much else to this area, except this nice vantage point of the burning bridge behind us, and this tipped over minecart here. Now, upon closer inspection, find that the minecart could do for a bit of oil, but more importantly than that, it could also do for having a fourth wheel. It's very, very useful for getting this thing, going. So, well, nothing else left to do. Can't do anything with the minecart, but with that oil, we now should be able to lube up the winch here. I think with that, we should be able to get down the little cliffside here. Yeah, I suppose a part of me would kind of worry about the winch being securely fastened to the truck at this point, but I think at least it's good enough that we can get any of the cable out. So now it's time to see what is waiting for us at the bottom of the cliffside here. So nothing as of yet. Seems like just a normal piece of cliffside until... Yeah, I think that is a minecart. In fact, I think from the diary entry that it mentioned a minecart that had kind of been dislodged from the tracks, I think this was exactly what it was talking about. And while we can't really have much use for the minecart itself down here, instead, yeah, it does have a wheel that we could possibly take off. Just as you can imagine, it's not something we can rip off with our bare hands, so instead, we're going to have to call in a friend, and that would be Steve, the Toolman Taylor. And just like that, we finally have a wheel, and that means we can repair that minecart.
Hey guys, we're in trouble!
What's going on?
The government troops are already at the bridge! They'll put out the fire in no time!
No exit on this side, and the government troops are on the other side. We are like rats in a trap.
No. You knew that the route down was buried, didn't you? And how come a journalist knows about a remote base and route in the middle of the mountains? Oh, first of all, no journalist could kill a man with a knife like you do. As far as I'm concerned, you are the traitor!
I simply use my ability to survive, that's all. I don't expect any gratitude, but I have done nothing to deserve being called a traitor.
Hey, we gotta work together and find a way to get off this mountain before they put out the fire. Once they cross that bridge, it'll be over for us.
Yeah, and what little bit of breathing room that we might have had we've now lost. The soldiers are waiting for us on the bridge, and it's time that we now try to put something of a plan into action to get out of this area. First thing we want to do is make sure and fix this minecart here. There's a number of things that we could possibly do with this, but before we can do anything with it, we have to make sure and get it up on the tracks, and as it is quite heavy, looks like it's going to be a job for Lopez. Now, considering that it is so heavy and it is on an incline, that does give me an idea of what we could use it for. Just this, that, before I can really set my plan into action, it is going to require throwing, well, a few switches along the track here. Now, while I did avoid this switch beforehand, it's not because it was frozen or anything, it's mostly just because there wasn't really a point in throwing it just yet. But by throwing this switch, even though it is not immediately evident by the track itself, this actually causes the track to shift over to the left, meaning that the minecart will continue down instead of going towards the cabin. Yeah, we inevitably want to get it to the mine entrance over there that's boarded up. It's just... yeah, we have to figure out how to fix this switch here. Now, if we have something of a replacement lever, we could get this working. And the good thing is, since, we already did pretty much fully explore this area beforehand, we already know that there is a reasonably good replacement right nearby for that lever. It's just this is another situation where you kind of are forced to do things in a very specific order. You have to make sure and have Steve check the base of that lever before you can come over here and look at the pipe and have him get a sweet, sweet brainstorm. And yeah, we're going to need somebody strong to bend down this pipe here. And that's why we're going to have this quick little discussion with Lopez. And now that we know that we need the pipe, we're now able to formulate a pretty simple plan to get it cut off the overall scaffolding here. Because obviously bending it back and forth really isn't going to be an economical way to break off what we need. Instead, we're going to have Lopez bend the pipe down onto the track itself. By doing that, we can then send the minecart down here with enough force and propulsion to just cut this pipe into a nice little bit for us. And there we go, nice and simple. Getting some teamwork to get that dream work done. We now have a nice little replacement pipe. Or a replacement or a pipe to replace the lever. And believe it or not, Steve is the only one that can do this. I don't know if it requires some advanced engineering knowledge to jam a pipe into this, but yeah, anybody else that tries to do this is for some reason completely blocked off from doing it. Still, even though we do have it in place, it's obviously been quite a bit of time since it's been in use, so it is a little bit rusty. The good news is that, well, Kato does still have a little bit of that machine oil on him that he used on the winch before. But yeah, I will say that while I do enjoy, I guess, the more intricate puzzle design here, there is quite a bit of backtracking in this area, and a lot of it is just unnecessary padding. Obviously, you've probably noticed the large number of cuts I've had to do. It's mostly because, well, it's not a very large area, and you kind of have to make your way back and forth across it 5 or 6 times to do all this. But we've used up the last of our oil, and that probably works out for the best because we now have the second to last switch that we need working. Well, I guess technically this would be the last switch we need working. Though we do have to get Lopez to push the very heavy minecart back to where it started. And this is a very good reminder of why you don't want to send the minecart going down without having set the switches properly. Because otherwise you'll have to sit here and watch Lopez Sisyphus his way up the hill a number of times. But yeah, with all the switches now set, it's time to set the minecart in motion and get inside the mine.
Light. It looks like this shaft leads to the other side of the mountain.
Everyone, listen!
What does he say?
The fire is almost out. Eliminate the survivors as soon as possible. They will catch up with us soon.
Oh, shit! They're going to catch up with us even if we get to the other side. Oh.
Hey, there's some dynamite. We might be able to bring the bridge down.
There's no time to lose. Let's hurry.
Alright, so we can't just blindly run into the mine, because the troops are right behind us. So instead, we have to get one more plan set into motion, and that plan is going to involve this minecart and some dynamite. Just, well, the small caveat is that to get the minecart headed towards the bridge, we are going to have to somehow unfreeze that switch outside. To do that, we are going to have to find something a bit flammable to get the ice work down. I don't think Julius lighter by itself would be enough. And Lopez does notice that on the shelf here is something that could be of use for us whenever we do find something flammable. That is a kerosene can. Now, obviously, we don't have to use just kerosene inside of it. It's just a metal container, so pretty much a number of liquids would probably be fine inside of it. And Julia knows her position in this setup pretty well. She just needs to be standing by that switch, ready to light whatever we have on fire. And yeah, Pachamama is going to be on radio duty, keeping track of whenever the soldiers might be pushing their way across the bridge. And yeah, more or less, everybody has a clear idea of what they need to do. Lopez will be standing, waiting by the minecart. Julia will be waiting with the lighter. Pachamama will be keeping an ear out for the troops, and well, Steve will be on winch duty, I suppose. He'll just be complaining off in a corner. So yeah, this is probably our most involved puzzle to date. We want to make sure and have everybody set in their positions before we get too far into this. So, we're gonna have Lopez waiting by the minecart here. Also, initially I was a bit worried that the minecart we were pushing just had some dynamite that we didn't see initially, but it actually just flew off the tracks off to the right-hand side there. And I think Julia is close enough to the switch. We don't actually want her directly in front of it, because we are going to have to get to it as Kato. And yeah, you might recall the rusted out truck did have that fuel tank with a little bit of gasoline inside of it. And that is where we are going to be finding our flammable liquid. Also, nice little touch there in the background. You can see the troops on the bridge, but I think we are making pretty good time here. We now have the flammable liquid we need. Should be smooth sailing. At least it would be, except that getting that gasoline actually triggers our first timer in quite a bit of time. The troops are finally going to be able to put out that fire. It's just going to take a whole whopping minute before they can do so. And as opposed to most other situations in this area, this is another timed situation. So hopefully you have figured out the best way to maneuver your way around these very tight corridors here in the mine. And hopefully you did make sure to set everybody in their places where they need to be. Because even though it's a smaller distance than the other previous timed little thing we had to do, things are actually going to be quite a bit tighter timing-wise for this part. Mostly because it's just a multi-step process. So you have the switch is now doused in gasoline. We can quickly burn off that gasoline. Hopefully that melted it enough that Julia should be able to throw the switch. And last but not least, with just moments to spare, it's time to set this bomb in motion.
Stop them for a while.
They still don't have time to lose. Besides,
You are right. Unless I get to the capital by Independence Day, it will be in vain.
What are you waiting for? Let's move!